Hello, English learners. Welcome to a new podcast episode here on Story Orbit N. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Tom. Welcome back. Well, actually, welcome for the very first time because this is our first episode ever. That feels kind of special, right?
Totally. I'm so excited. We've been planning this for months, and now it's finally happening. So today's podcast is like an introduction. We're going to explain what this show is about, what you can expect, and of course, we're going to teach you English while having fun.
Exactly. This is not going to be one of those boring podcasts where you just listen to grammar rules and feel sleepy after 5 minutes. No way. We're going to make this interesting, fun, and useful.
Yes, our goal is to make English learning feel natural. We'll talk about real life, things you actually want to say in English. For example, how to order food at a restaurant, how to ask for directions when you're lost, how to check into a hotel, and even how to survive at the airport without panicking.
And not only that, we'll also talk about pop culture, music, and movies. Imagine an episode where we analyze a Taylor Swift song or any track by your favorite singer. We explain all the vocabulary and expressions, and you get to understand your favorite lyrics. Doesn't that sound amazing?
I love that idea. And hey, if you're listening right now, leave us a comment or message with your suggestions. Tell us what topics you want to learn about. We want this podcast to feel like a community.
Yes, please do. But for today, let's keep things simple and start with the basics. Because it's our first time talking to you, it makes sense to teach greetings and introductions, right? Because greetings are the first thing you need when you meet someone. If you don't know how to say hello, the conversation is over before it even starts. So, Jessica, let's start with something super basic. Hello!
Simple but powerful. Hello is the standard greeting in English, and you can use it almost anywhere. But here's something interesting. English has lots of ways to say hello. For example, you can say hi, hey, or even howdy.
Howdy? That sounds like a cowboy thing. Do people really say that?
They do, especially in some parts of the United States. It's very informal though, and it sounds friendly. But let's explain this. The word howdy actually comes from how do you do, which is an old greeting. So, howdy is like a short, casual version. You could use it if you want to sound playful, or if you're in Texas, maybe.
So, if I go to a restaurant in New York and say, howdy, the waiter will probably look at me like, what planet are you from?
Probably, but let's give some examples. Hello, how are you is a full standard greeting. Then you can say, hi Tom, nice to meet you. Another option is, hey, what's up? Which is very informal and common among friends.
Okay, here's something important. What's up doesn't mean what is above your head. It's an expression that means, how are you? Or, what are you doing? The grammar is interesting because it uses up, which usually means something higher, but here it's just part of the phrase. So don't answer, the sky? If someone says, what's up? That would be weird.
Unless you want to be funny, but let's explain. What's up? It's a contraction of what is up. You can reply with not much or just relaxing. That's informal conversation. So here's an example dialogue. Hey Tom, what's up? And you answer, not much, just drinking coffee.
Speaking of coffee, that's something we're going to talk about in future episodes because ordering coffee in English can be a nightmare. Have you seen those complicated Starbucks orders?
Oh, yes. Hi, can I get a venti caramel macchiato with extra foam and oat milk, please? That's like a whole sentence.
Exactly. But today, let's keep it simple. So, Jessica, what other greetings do we have?
Good question. We also have time-based greetings like good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. These are more polite and formal than hi or hey.
And here's the tricky part. People often confuse good evening and good night. Good evening is for greeting someone in the evening, and good night is for saying goodbye at night. So don't say good night when you arrive somewhere because that sounds like you're leaving immediately.
Yes, that's a common mistake for learners. Let me give an example. If you go to a restaurant at 7 p.m., you say good evening. When you finish dinner and go home, you say good night.
Perfect. Now let's explain how are you, because that's another super common phrase.
Sure. How are you? Is a question you ask after saying hello. It literally means, what is your state or condition? But of course, people don't expect a medical report. They expect something short like, I'm fine or I'm good.
Exactly. And here's something fun. In real life, Many people in English-speaking countries don't even answer honestly. It's more like a social thing. If you say, "How are you?" the other person usually says, "Good, thanks." And you, even if they are having the worst day ever.
True. So remember, how are you is often just a polite question, but there are variations like, how's it going? Or how have you been? Which is for someone you haven't seen for a while.
Okay, let's break down the grammar and how's it going. The S is a contraction for is, so it means how is it going? It here means your life or things in general.
That's a good point, and your answer can be something like, it's going well or not bad. But don't answer with yes, because that sounds strange.
Unless you want to confuse people, which could be funny in a comedy show, but not in real life. So, Jessica, what about expressions like, nice to meet you?
That's an important one. When you meet someone for the first time, you say, nice to meet you. It means you are happy to know them. And if it's not the first time, but you're seeing them again, you say, nice to see you. That's a little grammar difference. Meet is for the first time, see is for later times.
Let's make an example. If I meet someone at a party, I say, hi, I'm Tom. Nice to meet you. Then, the next week, I see them at the supermarket. I say, oh, hi, nice to see you again.
Exactly. And here's another phrase, pleasure to meet you. That's more formal and polite. You might hear that in business situations.
Perfect! Jessica, remember when I ordered food in London and completely misunderstood the waiter?
Oh my gosh, yes! Tell that story.
Okay, so I went to this pub and the waiter said, do you want your chips with that? And I thought chips meant potato chips, like in a bag, like in the US. So I said, no thanks, I'm not hungry. But then he looked at me like I was crazy because in the UK, chips means French fries.
That's such a classic mistake, and that's why we need to explain this vocabulary. In British English, chips are French fries, and what Americans call chips are crisps in the UK. So if you're in London and you want a bag of chips, you ask for crisps.
And here's another fun one, biscuit. In the US, a biscuit is like a soft bread roll, but in the UK, a biscuit is a cookie. So if you ask for a biscuit in America, you'll get something totally different.
Yes, these differences are important, and we'll talk more about them in future episodes. But let's keep giving useful expressions for greetings because that's today's focus.
Okay, what about long time no see?
Oh, yes. That one is very common when you haven't seen someone for a long time. It literally means it's been a long time since we last saw each other. But the structure is not standard grammar. It sounds funny, but it's accepted as an informal phrase.
So you can say, hey Jessica, long time no see. And Jessica will probably say, yeah, it's been ages, which is another expression meaning a very long time.
Exactly. And that phrase, it's been ages, is also informal, but people use it all the time. Ages means a very long period. So you can say, I haven't been to the gym in ages.
Me neither. But that's another topic. Ha ha ha. So now, let's talk about pronunciation, because greetings often sound different from how they are written.
That's a good point. For example, how are you is often pronounced like how are ya or even how ya doing in informal speech. Native speakers don't always pronounce every word clearly, so it's good to know these reductions.
And the grammar rule here is that in casual conversation, people drop sounds to speak faster. It's not incorrect, it's just natural. So going to becomes gonna, as in, I'm gonna eat lunch.
Yes! But remember, gonna is not for formal writing. You use it in spoken English or text messages with friends.
Okay, before we finish, let's teach one last cool phrase. What have you been up to?
That one is great. It means, what have you been doing recently? It's used when you haven't seen someone for a while. For example, hey Tom, what have you been up to? And Tom says, I've been working a lot.
And that uses the present perfect tense, which is something we'll explain in another episode because it's one of the most confusing tenses in English.
Definitely. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot for today. We're so excited that you stayed with us until the end because that means you're serious about improving your English.
Yes, if you're still listening, give yourself a big round of applause because you just learned a lot of useful stuff today. And we're not just saying that to make you feel good. You really did learn.
Let's do a quick recap of what we talked about. First, we started with greetings like hello, hi, and hey. Remember, hello is the standard one, hi is casual, and hey is even more informal, usually for friends.
And don't forget about howdy. That one is super fun, but use it only in the right context. If you're in Texas, go ahead. If you're in New York City, maybe not.
Then we talked about time-based greetings like good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And remember the important rule, good night is only for saying goodbye, not hello.
We also explain questions like, how are you and what's up? And here's the big thing. These are often polite phrases, not invitations for a life story. So just answer with something short like, I'm good, or not much.
Yes, and we explain the grammar behind what's up. It's a contraction of what is up, but don't answer the sky unless you want to make a joke.
And we also cover other expressions like, nice to meet you versus nice to see you. That's a big difference. Remember, meet is for the first time, and see is when you already know the person.
Exactly. Then we had some fun with British and American English differences like chips and crisps and biscuit versus cookie. That was interesting because it shows why context is important.
And we didn't stop there. We also explained informal phrases like long time no see and it's been ages. Plus, we gave you a little pronunciation tip for how are you, which can sound like how you doing in real conversation.
And then we ended with a super useful question, what have you been up to? That one uses the present perfect tense, which is something we'll cover more deeply in future episodes.
So look at all that. You just learned vocabulary, expressions, pronunciation tips, cultural notes, and even a little grammar. That's a lot of value in one episode.
And here's the most important thing, don't stress if you don't remember everything. Learning a language takes time. The key is to practice a little every day. Listen to this podcast again, try to use these expressions with your friends, and little by little, it will become natural.
Yes. And don't be afraid of making mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. Mistakes are part of learning. If you never make mistakes, you're probably not trying hard enough.
That's such a good point. Language learning is a journey, and we're here to make that journey fun. So if you're tired of boring grammar books and want English that feels alive, this is the podcast for you.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you had fun and learned something useful. And now we really want to hear from you. Comment down below and tell us what topics you'd like us to talk about in future episodes. Let us know.
Exactly. Your ideas will help us make this podcast perfect for you. So write your suggestions and we might use them in the next episode. And before we say goodbye, here's your challenge for today. Go to someone you know and greet them in English using one of the phrases we taught you. Say hi, how's it going? Or long time no see. Practice it. The more you use it, the more confident you'll feel.
Great idea. And if you're shy, you can even practice in front of a mirror or talk to your pet. Seriously, pets are great listeners.
That's so true. Okay, we're going to wrap it up now. Thank you so much for listening to our very first episode. We loved spending this time with you, and we can't wait to do it again.
Stay curious, stay motivated, and keep practicing. You're doing amazing, and every single word you learn brings you one step closer to fluency. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.